So today, November 25th, marks the very first day of this 3-week transit through December 15th, where Mercury is retrograding back in the adventurous, the optimistic, the visionary sign of Sag. But let's talk about some of the challenges with Sag energy, because already Mercury retrograde has this tendency to create communication issues, right? And then you add the blunt, honest energy of Sag. And what do we have? We have a lot of energy here for disruption. So we're going to get right into it. If you're new to my work, my name is Megan Mermaid. I'm the headmistress of Mermaid Mystery School, as well as the author of Mermaid Mindset Makeover and the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle deck. And you can learn more about me at meganmermaid.com. So this Mercury retrograde is really helping us to change our beliefs. We just had Pluto change signs after 16 years, going from Pluto in Capricorn to Pluto in Aquarius. And right after, literally within a week, now we have Mercury going retrograde in Sag. So first, let's talk about what Mercury in retrograde means. We're going to talk about some significant dates to be aware of during this time frame. And then we're going to pull some cards to really help us to understand some of the themes and how we can navigate this cycle from a space of power. It is a time where we have to go back before we can go forward. It generally happens about every 3 to 4 months. So you have to think about what's been happening over these last few months. What has been left unfinished? Where did you leave off? It's kind of like you're preparing for a journey, but you've got to pack your things, you've got to get your itinerary ready. And it's very interesting because this Mercury retrograde is happening right on this overlap of Mars going retrograde. So we had this huge change in the karmic themes with Pluto and Aquarius, but now it's like we're having to go back. So when we think about Mercury in retrograde, one of the things that you want to be mindful of is not making any huge new commitments. So don't sign any contracts if possible. Don't look for a new job. Think about everything in this period is subject to change. And so this is a great time to practice all of the words, revisiting, redoing, renewing. This is a great time to clear the clutter out of your home or your car or your office. Perhaps people from the past may come back into your reality because there's unfinished business and conversations that need to happen. And those may be temporary, or they may lead to new timelines. There's this limitless nature with Mercury retrograde in Sag, though, because Sag represents our belief systems and it represents our ability to have faith in what is ahead. So what I would encourage you to do is think about what your intention is for Mercury retrograde. Mercury rules our mind. And so this is a great time to set an intention about reprogramming your mind when it comes to limiting beliefs, or when it comes to fear thoughts, or what you believe is possible. So with Sag having its ruler of Jupiter, Jupiter is all about expansion, right? So it's like, in order to expand our minds to the new horizons of Pluto and Aquarius, we first have to go back and clean house. It's also a challenge in Mercury retrograde when it comes to technology. You may experience more glitches. Also, travel can sometimes be disrupted. So you want to give yourself extra time, especially if you're traveling around the holidays and Thanksgiving. And it's really a time to pause and to slow down. We have Mercury that's already a very quick planet. And then we have Sag, which is fire, extreme fire that wants to go, go, go. And so it's like we have to bring the fire within. We have to purify our mind. That's what we can use the fire of Sag for, purifying our mind. And what I would really encourage you to do is to revisit things that you want to explore, or you want to study, or you want to look into. If you're already traveling and it's somewhere you've already been, you'll most likely be fine. Oftentimes there's reunions, not always romantic. It could be friendship, people from the past that come back that you haven't spoken to in a while. So there can be lots of good energy. It's not anything to fear as long as you're approaching these energies in the way that the themes are presenting themselves. If you're trying to start something new, it's very likely that you're going to be putting in a lot of energy and things are subject to change. So you're always welcome to follow your intuition and to follow whatever you want to do. You know, we all have free will in this life, but if you really hone in on this energy and you use it to perfect everything that has happened before, to contemplate and think about, wow, where was I from August to now? Because we had our last retrograde around August. Think about what's changed. Think about what hasn't changed. Are there any creative projects that still need to be finished? What is left undone? Whether that's physically, emotionally, or spiritually. This is the time to go back and perfect all of those little pieces so that when Mercury goes direct again in December, you are going to not only be prepared, but you're going to be ready to move forward into that next timeline with empowerment and integrity. So November 25th, Mercury goes retrograde at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. I'm offering $22 off, funny enough, astrology readings through December 6th. So if you want to know how Mercury is going to affect you personally, you can book an astrology reading with that sale. And then the first big transit that we're going to have is December 4th, when Mercury in Sag is going to oppose Jupiter in Gemini. So this might be a moment where we have to reassess maybe where we want to expand and where we're having to go back. So there might be this push-pull dynamic of wanting things to be happening in the external, but there's still having to be those changes of beliefs or structures or whatever it is, whether individually or collectively. So you might be experiencing that pull, but it's very interesting because the next day on December 5th, we have this Cazimi where the Sun and Mercury conjunct, where we have this moment of clarity. And so it's kind of like this pattern where we're going to experience the opposition. We're going to experience where we are versus where we want to be. We're going to have some type of aha, epiphany, breakthrough moment. And then bam, the next day on December 6th, Mercury is squaring Saturn in Pisces. So it's like, we're going to see what needs to happen. And then that square is going to be like, okay, you know where you want to go, but more work is necessary. And with this energy of Sag and Virgo, it's almost like this vibe killer, right? It's like we want to party, we want to go full steam ahead. And this Virgo energy is like, but wait, have you done this? Have you called this person? Have you organized this? Where is your to-do list? So we again have this theme of taking things slow. We want to rush into action, but where are we rushing to? And we really have to sit with that sense of urgency that's asking us to reflect on why we need to move so quickly. What do we think is going to happen once we get to this other space? Because if we're attaching some type of feeling or emotion to where we're headed, it's going to lead to disappointment, because this is always leading us back to ourselves and finding our peace and our harmony in this moment now, even if it means that we've got to slow down and we've got to process our feelings, or we've got to take care of something in our material world, or we have our responsibilities, or we just have to wait. So when Mercury goes direct on December 15th, it will be at 6 degrees of Sag. So all of this period is all Sag energy. And again, we have to really look at that Sag aspect of our chart to give us an even deeper idea of what lessons we're going to be experiencing. But overall, I feel like we're having to let go of this collective idea that the things that we want are not possible. Because Sag, who is ruled by Jupiter, is all about having faith and knowing that big risks take off and seeing the big picture and where we can go and having this beautiful optimism. And so many of us have felt like the life has been drained out of us because it's felt so challenging to keep the faith with all of the things that are happening on the planet and in our individual lives. And so this is our moment to really look honestly at not only what's happening, but what we're thinking about what's happening. So as long as we approach this from a space of curiosity and we look for the ways to keep our joy no matter what, there's going to be a lot of alchemical healing here that's available. It's a very special portal for rewiring our mind. This is also a great time for reflection and growth. Sag is the teacher. After going into the underworld of Scorpio, we come back into the energy of Sag with this wisdom from all of the experiences that we've gone through and the challenges that we've overcome. So the more that you can take time during this period to meditate, to contemplate, to sit in nature, breath work, whatever it is, journaling is going to be really great. Figure out how to just reflect and decide what's your wisdom that you're here to share with the world. And also, how can you acknowledge yourself for how far you've come? So I'm going to be pulling some cards to give us an even better idea of some of the themes that we may be experiencing with Mercury retrograde in Sag. And the first card that we have from the tarot is the High Priestess. I love this. It means that this is really a time for us to trust our intuition, to know that whatever our inner knowing is guiding us to, that's the path to follow. With Mercury retrograde in Sag, there might be this tendency to want to be a little bit arrogant about our beliefs and think our way is the only way, our way is the right way. But this High Priestess card is saying, hey, respect everybody else's beliefs. You don't have to fight. You don't have to win who's right. Everybody has their own path, but you've got to trust your path, not somebody else's. But you also don't have to prove your path to anyone. We have the King of Cups. So I feel like this is also an opportunity to keep our heart open. When we're doing this deep mind work, we want to balance it out with the heart and figure out, where do we need to be open? And maybe that could mean that there's some compassion when it comes to previous people returning into our life, rather than simply closing the door and being like, no, I'm not even going to entertain this. There's a reason. There's always a reason. So maybe it might just be a conversation. Maybe it's something about your own type of closure. Maybe it's just journaling about someone previously from your life. But we have the Ace of Cups. There's a lot of energy of love and rebirth and renewal. Like our heart and our intuition are guiding us, and we have to trust that, because our mind might bring us into some spaces where we start to doubt ourselves, or we look at what's happening and we start to kind of lose that hope or lose that joy because things aren't happening as quickly as we'd like. But I really encourage you to not give up. Instead, when you get in those moments where you're like, how is this going to work out? How am I going to get out of this situation? That's when you have to focus on gratitude and generosity. That will always put you back into the flow. We have 10 of Cups and the Page of Pentacles. So emotional fulfillment and feeling more grounded and stable in what we're creating. Not only do I feel like this is a reset for our minds when it comes to how we trust our emotions, how we trust our intuition, but it also means that whatever reset we're going through in this time about our beliefs could be related to our beliefs surrounding love and money and emotional fulfillment and the life that we want to live, believing that that's possible. So this deep dive, it feels like, is going to have a lot of really powerful benefits for us. So for my deck, the Mermaid Empowerment Oracle, we have non-reaction, which is wonderful for Mercury retrograde, when we can have so many disagreements, even if we're not even trying to have these miscommunications, they're just more prone to happen. So the Mermaid Empowerment for non-reaction is, I'm a master of non-reaction. So when you are in those situations that feel chaotic, that's your time to pause, breathe. And rather than reacting to that external situation or putting fuel into the fire, which can sometimes be that shadow aspect of Sagittarius, instead, you have to go within and say, okay, what does my heart need right now? What is self-care for me right now? Why is this triggering me? What is underneath this? Because we can't control the external, but we can control our non-reaction. It's a gift. It's a superpower. And then we have Pearl. I'm willing to see the pearl of wisdom. So if we can approach this whole transit and ask every single day, what is this situation teaching me? What is this moment teaching me? We're going to be set up to start gathering those pearls of wisdom that are going to bring us to this space of emotional fulfillment and grounded stability. And then we have confidence. It feels so good to sparkle and shine. So we've got to have confidence and trust ourselves. And remember, there's this beautiful optimism here where big risks take off, but we've got to trust ourselves and have confidence in ourselves, confidence in our emotions, confidence in following our heart, and confidence in trusting that intuitive nature, which is the only thing that is safe to trust in this world. Everyone outside of you can give you an idea of what their perspective is, but nobody else is living your life except for you. So you are the expert on you. And you're going to learn that through the initiatory experiences that we have during this transit. We have I've been manifesting you from the Burning Heart Love Oracle. And we also have I want to make things right. I want to reach out, but don't know how. So again, I feel like there's this theme here of whether it's partnerships that you're already in, and maybe you have to revisit arguments or disagreements, and maybe it's challenging to go into those spaces, but there's a lot of room here for healing, because the honest kind of probing energy of Sagittarius that has this lighthearted vibe to it, it can help to approach some of the more challenging aspects of partnership dynamics with that levity that can help us to come to conclusions and resolution that would not have been possible prior. It also means that if people are reaching out, be open to those conversations as long as it's safe, emotionally and physically safe for you. We, of course, don't want to invite people in that are a danger to ourselves or others. But if it's simply a matter of opinions or a matter of differences in some way, be open to those conversations, because those conversations could bring a lot of healing. And then from the Messages of Love Oracle deck, we have forgiveness and regret. I wish this never happened. I'm struggling to get over the past. So I feel like this whole cycle is going to be about not only forgiving ourselves for the ways that we've showed up in relationships or even just for life in general, but also for other key players that have come or gone in our lives or may still be here. It's like we're all starting to see the roles that we've played, and maybe not everybody's there, but there is at least this sense that people are recognizing that energy of regret. And it's okay to have regret. Sometimes we need to feel the guilt or the shame of the effect that our actions created, but we don't have to stay there. This energy of forgiveness is saying this is an opportunity to look at what's happened, to acknowledge it, to accept it, and to let it go. And that's going to bring that space for the love and money that we really want. So if you want to dive deeper into how this particular cycle of Mercury retrograde in Sag is going to affect you, again, I'm offering $22 off of my astrology readings through December 6th. I would be so honored to support you. You can also book a galactic channeled reading or an intuitive card reading, and you can find all of those links in the description below. You can also get the free replay of my Pluto and Capricorn past life healing masterclass. And this is a great way to also go back and revisit some of that old wounding from that previous karmic cycle that will prepare you for the new energy that we're in Pluto and Aquarius. So I love you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful evening.